neighborhood. We've worked hard to keep the bulldozers out in city making. That's hard to do. We all know it's hard to do. Buildings like that, to find the dough to fix them up, and was very difficult then, even more so now. But when we preserve buildings, and the fabric that you have in this city is so wonderful. I was out jogging this morning, came in last night just to remind myself of the extraordinary texture and sense of place. That's another thing that Florida, you got the advantage when you got the real stuff, and you've preserved it. So we kept these neighborhoods from being lost, and people stopped moving out, and now we have the great positive pressure of people wanting to move in, and we deal with that pressure and gentrification by creating more handsome, affordable housing as a part of the process. But every time we save buildings, we're preserving a memory. It's a memory of a city, the fabric and the scale, the texture, the patina, that teaches us something, exactly what we don't know, but about a time and a place. We imagine how the city was when this was this was burned out, and we got it restored. And I took these pictures because I like the thought of a person of modest resources having the third floor piazza overlooking the 19th century roofscape of our city. These were called Freedmen's Cottages, what African Americans built after the Civil War, one story of a Charleston single house, we call it. They were terrible shape. Neighborhood was awful. Hurricane Hugo did it in, but we knew we had to save them. We worked with Habitat for Humanity and restore them and saved the neighborhood, but it taught us a building type. We were wrestling with what do we do with people moving out of our shelter for the homeless. We needed some transitional housing. Young architect designed that. We won an award from the AIA for transitional housing. We won an award for our scattered-site public housing from the President of the United States. 11 awards were given over a 25-year period for design using federal funds, and our scattered-site housing won for that. And I might just say that, so often in city building, you say, you're tempted to say, well, it's just. I mean, kind of, well, it really doesn't matter what it looks like because it's whatever, it's just this. You can never say that. If human beings see it in a city, then it should be beautiful. I created a design review committee just within the city on the little things we do to make sure that at least some review, some thoughtful consideration of how it's going to look. This is admittedly a very bad house. That was in poor shape. That building official called, said, Mayor, we got to let it come down. And I said, no, we don't. And he said, Mayor, it's shifting. And the utility pole to your left is vertical. And so the house was moving. And I said, well, we'll put some money in, get it developed, fix it up. He said, Mayor, we're monitoring it's moving, and it's going to fall on the house next door and kill the people. And I said, well, it's not if we go kill the people, if we move them out. So we moved the people out next door to put them in the Howard Johnson. They had never stayed in the Howard Johnson before. The kids had the swimming pool, thought it was terrific, and we admittedly it was in very bad shape, but it was a corner lot. Corner lots are very important. You lose the building and that virus spreads. We got some money put in it, restored it as affordable housing. That's where it's finished. It's actually now going through the next iteration of its restoration. We saved a block, and we saved a neighborhood. This was a terrible block. We put affordable housing there. It looked like Charleston single houses with a wonderful courtyard. Now, there are $750,000 condos across from this. Across from the scattered-site public house, the lady at the cocktail party, the president's house I told you about, there's $750,000 condos going across from that. Good urban design gave the stability or gave the aspiration for the neighborhood. These were owned by the Medical University. They needed to tear them down to build a parking garage. We got to give them to us, and we moved them to a corner lot that had been kind of created when a crosstown highway came through town about 45 years ago, and it kind of scarred the neighborhood, and so it created a little stub street. I never noticed a little street before, but we had been doing some work, so we moved the houses to that corner and restored them to affordable housing, and The next picture you will see is taken from a balcony looking towards us. It was looking down that little street, Cracky Street, and there's this beautiful tree that was growing out of the sidewalk, but really street, you know, right on the edge there. And it was so pretty, and it hadn't been cut down because I think the highway folks just hadn't noticed it, you know, and so it was right there in the street. And it looked so nice, but this gosh awful house was underneath. I called the people and said, we need to buy 15.5 Cracker Street, and they said, well, you can't buy it, it's going to fall down. I said, let's look at it. And he said, it's going to kill us this time. And the utility meter was structural. It couldn't take the meter box off because the house would fall down. We put some money in it, restored it as affordable housing, and saved the neighborhood. The big challenge in city making are downtowns. A challenge for Wilmington, Charleston, and every city for all the obvious reasons. And you know, we work hard on that, and you work hard on that here in Wilmington. We do in Charleston. We have to work harder. And people often say, why? What's the deal? Why all that time and money on the downtown? You know, and well, we make the argument it's jobs, it's tax base. But you know, the real answer is that it's the public realm. A healthy public realm where citizenship is reinforced, that the public owns, is an essential ingredient of a great town or city. And we have to restore them and nourish them and be creative about making them more successful, because it gives everyone in our community something. You know, you go to little great towns and cities in older civilizations in Europe and other places, and what you notice is that all the people, the richest and the poorest in those communities, all understand that that's theirs. And when they use it to visit it or shop in it or walk in it, as you do at your beautiful river walk here and all the other things you do, it's that common ownership that lifts the community. We do better when we own more things of value together. We need to own our personal things and our private things, of course, with great pride. But when we have beautiful things that are all civically owned, then we're better off. So that's why we work so hard, and our downtown was gone. When I was elected, I parked behind one of those buildings, walked through the building Saturday before Christmas, turned out onto our Main Street, King Street, Saturday before Christmas. There's nobody there. It was gone. So we did it by the numbers, which is the only way to do it. We did it with the strategic plan, which you have to do, and studied the buildings and showed what the buildings used to look like, and the facades. We wouldn't let the buildings be torn down. And we found money to put apartments in the second and third floors to get 24-hour activity, and shops on the first floor, and buildings like the Swartz building looked like hell. We put money into it, got it restored. Hurricane Hugo knocked it down, doggone it. Put another one in there, even bigger. Our big challenge was the vacant lot. The Main Street in Charleston, King Street, is a street that dog legs on your left there. And that's where I was. That was the shopping center of South Carolina when I was a child, King Street. In the middle, the vacant lot is where there were 2 department stores when I was a child. So in the 70s, that's what we had on King Street, this huge vacant lot. And we wanted to restore King Street. Now, cities are ecosystems, and so we must be very careful about what we do. We have to work very hard to know what we're doing. It's like a very sick patient. The doctor starts with the most complicated problem and works to restore that and move on until the patient is restored to good health. And you know, so often in the American city, during this time, the last 50 or 60 years, when we were dealing with the demise of the inner city, the thought was, well, just, you know, whatever you do something, even if it's wrong, or go get that developer from that other city that did something, and get that developer coming here and do something, get something going.